So just a couple more panels before cocktails. This is a panel that I've wanted to do for a while, but the ability to do it required getting enough of the right kind of founder together. So this is kind of bigger than beauty and really diving into what it takes to build a brand. Listen, all brands matter, but some use brands for sort of a higher cause as well. So this is a panel full of change makers. But I also want to recognize Éva, who was our BeautyMatter Changemaker of the Year for 2025.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that it was Éva this year because she has been doing really important work for years. But I would have thought you would have won this a couple of years ago when sexual wellness was like a thing. And now it's still a thing, but not in the same way. But people, our judges recognize the work you're doing. So it almost felt more meaningful to me in a way, and really well-deserved.
Thank you.
Congratulations. As a way to establish our foundation for today's conversation, I want to ask each of you to take us back to the beginning and share why you launched your brands, as well as the non-negotiables that serve as your North Star for not only your business, but the building of your team. David, maybe we can start with you because you have the most fabulous outfit.
Oh, thank you. I'm debuting my K-pop debut today. So, well, you know, I started out as a journalist and editor, and that's how we know each other too. We'd go to SCAD every year, and you know, I'm so glad to be on stage here. But as a journalist, I became a storyteller because I never saw myself in the media. I never saw myself represented. A queer Korean American person who grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Yes, yes, and where I still live. And so I wanted to write stories about folks who were disenfranchised or the mass media weren't paying attention to. So as a journalist in New York City, that's what I focused on. I wanted to talk about my Slasian community. I wanted to talk about my queer community. And you know, I think that for me, my North Star, I always go back to our logo, which is the moth on all of our boxes. If you get a Moonglow Milky Toning Lotion in your bag, look at the moth. It's not the butterfly. Everyone thinks it's the butterfly. But the butterfly is objectively this beautiful creature that gets to bask its wings in the daytime and is celebrated in pop culture, history, song lyrics. I never felt like the butterfly, even though maybe I feel like a butterfly today, like maybe.
You are a butterfly, David Yee.
I've always identified more as the moth, a creature that's considered the underdog, a creature that's considered less beautiful by society standards, that lives and dies in the darkness. But what's beautiful and powerful about the moth is even in the deepest, darkest night, when the chips are down, when it feels hopeless, when it feels like the world is against you, what's remarkable about the moth is the moth always finds the light. And that's why we're called Good Light. We're a gender-inclusive beauty brand. We're K-beauty. We're gay beauty. But did you also know I'm the only out queer Korean beauty founder? And that, to me, it's not lost on me. There's still so much we can do and we need to do. And this is now my advocacy in the beauty industry to understand and know that everyone belongs. Everyone has that good light. If you have the audacity to step into your authenticity and to shine your light, that's when everything changes. And that's what I hope to accomplish in this beautiful industry.
Yeah. Yay.
Awesome.
Éva.
How am I going to follow that?
I know, that's hard. No, but I have no doubt you will.
Okay. First of all, and I know we're going to get to this, but sex is not a trend. You're all here because someone had sex. You all had babies this past year because someone had sex. So I want to frame it that way. I think it's really important, at least in my opinion, to be tackling what seems like stigmatized categories or what seems like areas we haven't really wanted to talk about in ways that are inclusive. That's really where I came from. I was a legislative in healthcare. I was an early employee at Everlane. I was in beauty before. And so I wanted to wake up every day and do something that was going to those spaces and saying, let's talk about this in a way that makes other people feel comfortable. And let's tackle issues that get to people on, you know, levels of health, of their psychological health, their mental health, their physical health. I didn't think I would grow up to do this, but I think that it tackles things that really matter, especially we were talking about this. I'm from New Mexico. They've never heard of a condom. I have so many great nieces and nephews, and I'm like, you could have called me. I have maude now. We all, so I think there's some level of this is an issue that will probably be forever an
Agreed.
issue in terms of our shame and stigma, and I wanted to do something that could help. I don't think I can solve it, but I think I can help it.
Yeah. Hillary, what about you?
Yeah, so my start is a little different. It starts with the igniting moment of a cancer diagnosis in my 30s. And my subsequent discovery that the products that I was using were made with ingredients that are now, today, proven to be bad for your health. At that time, I was really thinking more along the lines of the precautionary principle. It seems like these ingredients might not be good for your health. But now, so many toxicologists and doctors are pointing out that these ingredients positively are not good for your health 10 years later. So at the time, I tried a bunch of products and wanted to find products that could replace the products that I was using. And what I found is that they just weren't offering the efficacy or the sensorial experience that I was looking for. And that set me off on a mission to prove that products that prioritize the health of people on the planet can be the most effective. So today, we make indulgent, sensorial, beautiful products with zero compromise on efficacy or safety. And in terms of a North Star, that's really what we focus on. And as part of that, we're really building on that story that there's so much innovation to be found in nature, so much potency. And we're proving that we can consistently outperform conventional brands.
Yeah. So you guys all have very different missions. But there are a number of similarities. All of your messages are inclusive. And while you acknowledge your brands might not be for everyone, everyone is welcome in your brands, which I think it's not a hard line to strike. I think everyone should be inclusive and welcome, but you guys do it in this very natural way. And your brands aren't built on marketing messages. You're all three very good storytellers and great marketers, but that is not what built these businesses. You have also built real communities, not just sort of checked boxes. So David, before launching the product brand, you mentioned you ran an editorial platform, and I've seen you in action. Like, you are a content machine.
Am I?
We were in Savannah with Jessica Krull from Allure. They did a whole photo shoot on the front porch in like 30 seconds. It was amazing. How does your editorial background inform what you've built?
Well, I think it's all about storytelling, right? It's about understanding that we all have a story to tell. And I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to tell a story about a young queer person who never felt beautiful and never felt as if they belonged. And I never want anyone to feel that way. So when they go into an Ulta store, we're an Ulta exclusive beauty brand, we're in 1,500 stores across the country. When they see beauty beyond the binary at the top shelf, I want them to feel as if they have an army of support behind them. Whether they live in a small town in Louisiana or a place in Colorado or here in Los Angeles, no matter what their home circumstance, their church circumstance or their school circumstance, I want them to know that they belong, that they're worthy, and that they can move forward with grace and dignity and also audacity. And so storytelling goes back to that, and knowing that you can connect to people on a deeper level. And I really do believe that as content creators, we're all content creators here, whether you know it or not, it is a responsibility for us to speak our truths and to also spread that message. My book editor once told me this, and it really applies to what I'm doing. She said, David, your book won't be everything to everyone, but you will be everything to someone. And I think I always adopted that into good light. Maybe it's not for everyone. Yes, it's efficacious ingredient, it's K-beauty, it's innovation, it's award-winning. But besides that, maybe it's not for everyone. But it will be everything to someone, and I think that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, yeah. Éva, for you, you sort of use design And not only it's integral in the products you sell, but it's also a really powerful marketing lever for you. Can you share how you sort of harness design and how you leverage it to? I think it allows you to sort of like punch above your weight class in many ways.
Yeah. I think that often people treat design like decoration, and design is communication. And for this category, we can all sit there and think about the commercials we've seen, what we've grown up with on this shelf, and it's like, number one, you talk about design, it's pretty outdated, and the other thing is in some ways, it tries to create this world that I would not say exists for the everyday person.
Yep.
Yet this is the most everyday thing. It's part of just being a human, and so we wanted to use design in the same way that you look at the 10 principles of good design as like it's unobtrusive, it's effective, it's helpful. That's how we think about it. It's like Maude's purpose is to be useful. But we are not the primary person in that room. We're not supposed to be another character in your intimate life. We're supposed to just be,
There.
And so I think you have to be very thoughtful with design when you're taking on matters that are so personal.
Yeah. So, I mean, Hillary, I have a bit of a different question for you. You launched the brand from a very personal story, and you also stepped away from leading the brand as a CEO, which has sort of come up on a couple of other panels in various ways. This is a really sort of difficult thing for founders, and perhaps for a mission-based business, maybe a little bit more difficult, right? Because you stand from something. Can you share a little bit about the transition and why?
Yeah, so I think what's so interesting about that transition for me is that it could have been very difficult. And I think it could have been very frustrating if I were working with a leader and ultimately a team that wasn't aligned with what I believe and with the mission of the brand. And because of that, I think I had a very healthy dose of fear. I led the search, and I felt very strongly, kind of like getting married, I have a wonderful husband, that the change wasn't going to happen until I met the right person. And it was really interesting. I'm looking at her right now.
You got a good one.
I have such a good one. I just knew the minute I met her that it was the right fit. And we've been working together now for 5 years. And so while certainly it was hard, I mean, it would just be ridiculous if I said, oh, it was just so easy to hand it all over and say, good luck. It definitely took a lot of self-control, I think, on my part, and a lot of really good advice. And some of the best advice that I got was, if you're going to hire a really strong leader, then make sure to give her enough space to do her best work.
Or him.
Or him. In my case, her. In my case, her. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what's, I think, made the transition. There's a lot of mutual respect. Yeah. And we have a lot of fun together. So I feel really lucky. When I tell other founders, they're like, tell me more. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's a struggle, right? I think it becomes even a bigger struggle because brands can scale so fast. And so when brands moved slowly, I don't know, founders had time to realize they weren't CEOs and come to the decision on their own.
Right.
And now it happens so fast that you can't grow into being a CEO at $100 million business in 2 years. And you also don't have the ability to kind of make the decision on your own. And I kind of feel for those founders because time would probably have gotten them there one way or the other.
It's brutal, and I think what's really important, and maybe my age had a lot to do with that. I feel like the older you get, the more you can develop a really healthy relationship with your ego. And for me, it was really important to step back and say, okay, here's this woman who has 35 years of experience in the beauty industry, running big brands like Fenty Beauty. That's not my experience. And so she brought so much to the table at a time where we were really ready to scale. So you're right. I mean, it's a hard place to get to, and it's also absolutely wonderful on the other side.
Yeah. I'm going to skip around a little bit because we're running out of time. I knew this was going to happen on this panel. I want to talk a little bit about retail. Because you all have sort of different distribution channels, different sort of may have done things differently. I'm going to start this one with you, Éva. You know, the sexual wellness, it shouldn't be a trend, but it was a trend. It isn't a trend. It just is, right?
Listen, what were people doing in COVID?
I know. I mean, but there was a moment where investors started investing in the category, and then somehow it became a trend, and whatever. That's a whole other topic. But we saw traditional beauty retailers expand their assortments to include these brands with varying degrees of success, and I think you've sort of painfully been a part of that. But can you share the challenges of building a brand that is a white space opportunity for beauty retailers?
Yeah, I think when there are a few brands in this space, but we all sort of have been presented with these opportunities to go to retailers. And one, of course, we all know this, like you deal with exclusivity. And so we've all been there at the 3 doors, the 4 doors of choice, and you have to make a choice. Well, the problem is there's not that many brands in this space. It is really hard to get funding. It's hard to scale on, platforms, et cetera. And so I think it's not that it's a trend that lost steam. It's that there are so few of us that have kind of been able to. It's a timing thing. Like we were pre-COVID, but that we've then been dispersed. And so there's not one category in a retailer. We're still all alone in Sephora as the only in our category in store. And it's like, look around, babe. You can't sell wine in the beer store. Sephora's not beer. Or you can't sell beer in a wine store. It's related, but you're still your own category. And even though we're now under Body, I think you can't be the only brand. Yeah. So I think every brand in this category feels the same way because there's just so few of us.
Yeah.
I
mean, David, you launched with an Ulta exclusive. So why was Ulta the right partner for you to communicate your mission?
Because Ulta speaks to the customer who is not in the big cities or on the coasts. I think that's where we can make a bigger impact in those smaller cities and communities that really do need advocacy, that do need a beacon of hope. And I think that Ulta, what they do so well is they're able to speak to mass customers, prestige customers, but they really do care about DE&I. I know that's a bad word right now. I know that it's a contentious word, but I'm standing down 5 toes, 10 toes down on DE&I. It's not a trend. It's my life. Yeah. It's the lives of so many folks, and that is a retailer that practices what they preach. And I really do. I really do take that to heart. And they are very authentic with their mission, and they've been so supportive.
Yeah. I mean, Hillary, you are still primarily a D2C business that has sort of scaled, and not so slowly, more consistently. But what role does wholesale play in your growth strategy? Because you're also kind of in the professional channel as well.
Yes, we are. So you're right, we've scaled consistently, and we're a primarily D2C business, and we're seeing wholesale as a really important part of our future growth. We're in Nordstrom, Credo, Detox, and we're a top 3 brand in all 3, top brand in several, but we can't mention which ones. And we see retail really continuing to be an important way for us to connect with our community, to build our community. We're really enjoying dipping our toe into the spa channel. We've been very successful there, very well received, and it's a place where we can connect with that wellness consumer who really cares about her well-being and self-care and luxury. So that's been fantastic. And actually, we're also on Amazon, and we were able to double our business there. Wow. Last year.
And you've also had a deal. You've all sort of had these moments where you rode the wave, and then you got the kickback too. So you rode the wave of clean beauty and the backlash. Yes. And can you share a little bit, because I know it took you a little while to get your footing on that one.
Yeah, so it was so interesting for someone who's a cancer survivor and believes so strongly in our mission to have people say to me, oh, well, clean beauty's out right now. I was thinking, out? What do you mean out? Like, when is wellness going to be unpopular? And if you have a product that is incredibly effective, are people going to say to you, well, what happened to my toxins? You took my toxins out of my product. So I really didn't understand what people were talking about. And ultimately where I landed, and it's really helped us bring more clarity, I think, back to clean, is to make it really clear to everybody, because there was a lot of clean washing, to say that we have left the job of certifying the safety and sustainability of our products to organizations whose only job is to have the consumers back.
Yep.
And I think that really helped fortify clean again, and for it doesn't need to be a big conversation, but it also doesn't need to be put in question, because we still believe very strongly it's important, and we know for sure it's important to our customer.
Yeah. I want to ask one more question, because this crowd is great because they will answer anything. So we are going to, I want to talk about investment. Because the investment landscape is not what it was a few years ago. And actually, a large portion of the next 50 brands are self-funded. They have not raised any money yet. You've all raised money to launch and grow your brands, and hindsight is 2020. So my first question is, if you could do it over again, would you? And if your investors are in the room, they can close their ears. And what advice would you give to founders that are contemplating fundraising? So David, maybe I can start with you, because you can't launch Ulta without money.
No, totally, absolutely. I mean, we're still pre-seed. We've been around for, now it's our 4th year, but we're very fortunate that we have taken money from those folks who care about our mission. Yeah. I mean, one of my investors in the crowd, Odile, she's our French fairy godmother. I always say that, and she's been so supportive. And I think that at the end of the day, you have to find people who care about you, who are unafraid about your mission. And I remember once I went to a meeting with these investors, 2 straight guys, and I was like, I'm gonna be super gay, and I don't even dress this way. I had a very low V-neck top. It was showing my chest. I wore like mascara. It was probably really bad. It was like coming down my face. But I was like, let me test them and see. And I was like super flamboyant and gay. And I was like, oh, they passed the, oh, you care about my community? Oh, okay. So maybe I can cover up my chest now. And sometimes you gotta test people, though. You have to, and I'm so unafraid of that, and I'm fearless when it comes to that, because I have nothing to lose. I come from nothing. I'll leave this earth with nothing. And what's the point of doing this if you don't do it with purpose? What is the purpose of this life if you're not living for others and trying to make it better, right? That is totally what I'm unabashed about, and I will die on that hill. And I think that we need more of that fearlessness in all of our businesses and just in our lives.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have been very open on sort of the struggles of a founder in ways that other founders aren't. And I think it's necessary, because I think there are, the life of a founder has become this glamorized thing. And it is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I hear these founder stories, and I'm like, it is not 68 and sunny in your world every day. Like, so thank you for showing people what it really takes. And I'm glad you stuck with it, because I know there are moments, but you do have a brand that matters, and and you're really inspirational. Éva, I mean, you really rode the wave when it came to and hit some milestones sort of as a founder. What about you?
I am by nature a contrarian, and I think that I found investors who are also, they are commercial visionaries. They're also dinosaurs. I have some very big strategics who could look at this and say, yeah, you're right, this is a huge category. And I have some contrarians who just are straight up like, let me write the check, I believe in this. And that's what it's gonna take. I think that if you get a lot of yeses, I would be worried. I think it's more important to find people that are really going to be you know, they're going to weather it with you, and they're going to put the pen to paper with you, and they're going to ask you a lot of questions. And so I feel really lucky to be in such a specific category, because I look around the room and my investors are all still like, yep. And a lot of the people in this room said no, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody has to, I think you should show up for the things you believe in, and that's, I don't want anybody who doubts. There's no room for doubt. We gotta go. We gotta move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Hillary, you've also taken money, I think, and grown sort of in a very capital efficient way, because it feels like you raised when you needed to raise. So what about you?
Yeah, so I would do it again.
Yeah.
But to your point, it wasn't always 68 and sunny.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no question. It is really challenging for a founder to all of a sudden have a team of people around the table questioning your decisions.
Yeah.
You know, and saying, we don't know if we would do it that way. And it's like, okay, well, why? You know, I mean, it is a really interesting shift to work through. And I absolutely would do it again. And the reason that I would is because we were riding the wave of clean beauty. We were leading the pack. And I really believe that if we hadn't taken that funding, we could have just gotten lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But we were able to bring on spokespeople and do a lot of really interesting things at a time where I think it made a big difference. And one of my favorite quotes that one of my earliest investors said to me, since we're the flamboyant panel, she said to me early on, make that board your bitch. And I was like, okay, okay, exactly what does that mean? But you know, I learned so much. A board can work so hard for you, and they want to. And so I think figuring out how to make that happen has made having investors such a positive experience. So I think I've learned how to do that over time a little bit better. I think I started off wanting to please everybody, and then I think that shift really, it made the relationship even more productive.
Yeah. I think also, I think a lot of founders sort of feel like they work for their investors when it's sort of the other way around, really. So that investor relationship is really important. I want to make sure we have time for, we have a few minutes for questions if anyone has any questions. There's one up here and one in the back.
Hi, this was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the energy and learned so much from you all. My question, I'm Vanessa, I'm from VDX.TV. We're a global media ad tech company. My question's particularly for Hillary. You mentioned you were able to grow your Amazon sales by 2 times. I'm curious what you did there to achieve that, because I know a lot of brands specific in skincare and beauty are looking to do that this year.
Yeah, so basically, I think some of it may have been pent-up demand, honestly. I think the consumer was really looking to find us there, and when we went there, I think we had a really great positive initial experience. We're actually just learning now how to turn on that revenue even greater. I mean, I know working with influencers, working with the Amazon team, doing what they know best. We're actually kind of just getting started. So I wish I had some magic bullet to share with you, but I think a lot of it was pent-up demand.
I think we had another question on the back bench.
Hi, thank you all for being here and for being so inspiring. I don't have a question. Mine is a comment, and it's for David. I wanted to thank you for bringing up DEI. I've been in and out of panels all day today, as all of you have, and this is the first time my ears are hearing about DEI. So I wanted to thank you for including it in your values, but also continuing to be an advocate for it. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We should all talk about DE&I.
I know, I'm like,
I think it is, DEI is also one of those things that it is not a trend, it shouldn't be a trend. I mean, we try and just do the work and show up and walk the walk. But you're right, I mean, it needs to, we can't lose sight of the importance of being inclusive. And, not everything is, it's not even about popularity. It's just good business.
I know.
It's just good business. And I don't even know why we're talking about it, because the numbers are there, the sales are there, and yet we are where we are. But thank you for pointing that out. All right.
Thank
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.